We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. The Board of County Commissioners regular board meeting January 6th, 2022, 5:32 p.m. Please turn your cell phones to the vibrate, silence, or off setting. The Board of County Commissioners allows any person to speak regarding an item on the agenda. The speaker is limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise determined by the chairman to allow sufficient time for all speakers. Speakers shall refrain from abusive or profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, protests, or other behavior which interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Upon completion of the public comment period, discussion is limited to board members and questions raised by the board. This evening, the invocation will be brought on behalf of Commissioner Underhill. Commissioner Underhill, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It's my honor to once again have Rabbi Mendau come and speak with us. We have had him come and give his get us started before. I'd hoped to be able to get this done during Hanukkah, but since we missed that opportunity, we're very glad to have you. Rabbi Mendau, thank you very much for joining us today.
All right. Do we stand? Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right, my bad. Sovereign of the universe, look favorably upon our mayor and the honorable members of our city council of our great city of Pensacola, and to bestow upon them and all of us gathered here today the joy of life, good health, and prosperity. We are now in the days after the holiday of Hanukkah, the Jewish festival commemorating a great miracle that occurred over 2,000 years ago in ancient Israel, oppressed by a ruthless enemy that endeavored to destroy the traditions, the treasured traditions of the Torah. A small band of devout and courageous Jews, famously known as the Maccabees, revolted and miraculously won the war. Upon regaining control of the Holy Temple, they could only find 1 day's worth of ritually pure oil to kindle the menorah, the ritual candelabra. Undeterred, they lit up the lamps and hoped for the best. A miracle occurred, as we all know, and 1 day's supply of oil burned for 8 days and nights. The miracle of the oil and the religious freedom is celebrated each year with the lighting of a menorah. Starting with 1 candle on the first night, we add another candle each night until the 8th night. The lesson of the menorah is simple, yet profound. In a world of darkness, all it takes is one single flame, one selfless good deed to usher in a reality of light and hope. However, once you have lit one flame, it is crucial to consistently increase. Never suffice with the positive accomplishes of yesterday. A new day brings fresh opportunity for goodness and kindness. Now that we are after the holiday of Hanukkah, when we cease to kindle the flames of the menorah, we are now called upon to invoke the memories of those bright and warm flames through actions of goodness and kindness. Sovereign of the world, grant us all the wisdom and courage to apply the powerful lessons of the menorah, so that we be able agents of goodness and peace to ourselves, our families, communities, and to the entire world. Give this honorable council guidance so that they will always be conscious of your presence and will strive to enact laws with honesty and integrity in accordance with your will. May our beautiful coastal region serve as a beacon of light to all of humanity as we do our part in preparing the world for an era of global peace and tranquility. May this occur speedily in our times. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi.
If I can just take a short moment before I conclude over here. I brought with me here a charity box. In Hebrew, it's called tzedakah, which actually means righteousness or truth. And in this box, every day, I have a custom, and many others do, of putting a coin into the box. So I'm not sure if this is allowed, what the protocol is, but if I brought a bunch of coins, and if I can give everyone up here an opportunity to put in a coin.
I think that'd be fine if without objection, but you just walk right around the front.
Okay.
Here. And you got the coins because I don't have
Absolutely.
any coins on. Okay. All right. You give me a coin, I'll put the coin in. All right.
I prefer that shot you gave me at the reading. I mean, don't put it in the pocket.
blessing to the community.
Thank you, sir. All right, there we go. There we go. Thank you, sir, for being here. And now, folks, Commissioner May will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance to our great flag. I pledge allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner May. All right. Are there any items to be added to the agenda? We'll start with you, Madam Attorney.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, there are 2 items that have been added to the county attorney's report, hard copies of which are at each of your workstations.
Two items. That,
Correct, there are 2 items.
gotcha. Okay. Commissioner Bender?
No, sir.
Commissioner Berry?
None.
Commissioner May?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Underhill?
None, thank you.
All right, none from me? Nothing from Wes. All right, very good. Commissioners Forum, we'll start with you. Commissioner Bender, you're recognized.
Mr. Chairman, sorry, we didn't take a motion on adoption of the
Oh,
agenda.
there we go.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Motion second on the agenda, please vote. All right, adoption of the agenda is unanimous. All right, Commissioners Forum, Robert Bender, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, wish everybody Happy New Year and welcome. I want to thank Captain Robert Turbin and his staff for overseeing the removal of the vessel in front of the Grand Marlin. I know that there was a lot of chatter about that finally getting removed, and that, of course, it's a process we have to work through with FWC, and I know the contractor ran into some personal issues, but glad we were able to get that removed. Also, over our break, I know we've lost a number of people, but one that we all know was Alan Bookman. And I saw Neil come in, who I know was a dear friend to him as well. So, of course, our thoughts and prayers are with Connie and the Bookman family. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Bender. Commissioner Berry, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to echo the Happy New Year and welcome to the folks in the audience with us this evening. And certainly thoughts and prayers go out to Alan's family and to his dear friends who who end up as impacted by the passing as family members. Yesterday was the last day at work for my intern, Dylan Conti, and I want to. He's not here. He's not in attendance this evening, but I want to proactively just mention, what a great kid he is. He starts University of Florida on Monday, and but was with me for over a year. So he's going to be in the same general area as where Mitchell Singleton is. Mitchell's finished his coursework at UF and is, I believe, the state FFA director currently. But they were friends, and now they're back in the same type of area. I'm sure Dylan's going to be extremely successful. He's a great young man, and it's something. In the first few years on the board, I didn't have interns, and it's been a real value. And it's one of the things, Commissioner May, you kind of led that as soon as we got on the board about trying to fund a small allocation for each office to have an intern, and I just had never really experienced that before, but it's been a good thing, and it was certainly a good thing that you put that in place. I think we've had, probably a couple of dozen young people come through now in the last 8 or 9 years, and I think to a person, they'll all going to be very successful. And some of them that have been through on those early terms, I think we've seen them, finishing their colleges and moving on to their adult careers, and different types of graduate school, and all going to be very successful people. So that was a great idea, Lumen.
Thank you, Commissioner Berry.
Thanks,
May.
Commissioner Berry, and probably without the late Commissioner Willie Jr., I didn't get a paid intern, but I did a lot of running around for him and learned a lot about county government just because of opportunity and a lot of opposition when we implemented summer youth and intern programs. But thank you for the continued support, and I do echo, we love your intern. We're going to miss him. And, you know, for our office, we've had, I think, 2 interns. One's now working in IT and had another one, 2 others who gained full-time employment with the county. So we know that works. I do want to thank PIO and David, as well as Claire and Leroy, a great opportunity throughout the holidays to assist many of our urban inner city schools in our district with Christmas toys and supplies, and we could not have done it without the dedication and working with them in the Bay Center and giving many disadvantaged children the opportunity to enjoy Christmas as others. So we certainly appreciate that, and all the other staff who participated in Toys for Tots or Secret Santa or community caring or just through your church, and making sure that children throughout our community receive something for Christmas. Rabbi, it's so good to see you and to be able to come to the temple and with the open arms. I was greeted well and embrace a culture that I was unaware of, and that was a highlight of the last couple holiday seasons, and coming to see you, Rabbi. We appreciate that. And certainly we congratulate Pine Forest football team. Everyone knows that I'm a youth sports person, and to see our young people, and I know many of our commissioners have supported them financially. Jeff, it's not quite my district. It's almost my district.
It's very close.
You can take the accolades, but many of the young people, at least 7 of the young people on that team, I had the opportunity to coach them since they were about 4 or 5 years old. So it gives joy to my heart to see them representing Pensacola and doing a great job. And I echo my colleague, Commissioner Berry and Bender, on Alan Bookman. What a great community person, and unfortunately, we had tremendous loss in a former county commissioner, Mike Bass, who was one of the first people I talked to when I ran for office, and as well as former city councilman Doug Hofford, all who were great community leaders, and our condolences and prayers go out to those families, and we certainly will be bringing forth some proclamations and recognizing their great service here in the very near future. So again, Happy New Year to all of our staff who helped out throughout the holidays. I know many days this place was ghost, but I know that my aide and Angela, y'all were here and keeping things running, and so we appreciate it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Underhill, you recognized?
Nothing for the good of the whole. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Just for my part, obviously, I'll echo my counterpart's sentiments to the Bookman family. He'll be on our thoughts and prayers. I want to wish everyone a Happy New Year. I want to thank Eric Gilmore and his staff, as well as CMR and IT, for quickly bringing back the dashboard. As we all know, the COVID-19 Omicron variant has spiked, and we appreciate the proactive movement to get that dashboard back up. I want to thank Art Mead and his team, and really all of the staff for their support when we did the Pensacola Christmas Parade downtown before we went on an extended break. We haven't had a meeting in a while, but I just want to certainly thank the staff. That was a great parade. It was well attended. The weather was perfect, and it just was a blast. So thank you to all those folks from the staff that helped with that. Also want to say that next Wednesday we're going to have a special coffee with the commissioner on Facebook Live, and we're going to have the founder of Flood Defenders is going to be on there along with staff, and we're going to talk about stormwater and flooding and what we can do to make our community more resilient. So it should be a good discussion. And I also want to make the announcement that, as I said I would do after we got done redistricting, I am going to have a series of town halls Monday the 31st of this month. Somewhere down in the Inner-Perdido Key area, we will have a town hall from 5:30 to 7 with a venue to be determined. And then February 22nd, which is a Tuesday, we will have a town hall in the Beulah area. Same thing, 5:30 to 7 with a venue to be determined. And we're coming out to listen to the citizens. So that's what I have for the group. And Wes, I know you have some comments as well.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I would like to just recognize Robbie Freeman in our facilities department. Over the New Year's weekend, we had no less than 3 emergencies, if you will, come up and take place. And Robbie, he was on top of all of them. One of the biggest things, one of our chillers went out, and we were already down 1 waiting to come in, so it was a big deal. And he was able to work through the holiday weekend and bring that to fruition. It's been installed this week, and that's a pretty good feat. And I want to say thank you to him for that. And I'd also like to ask Mr. Don Seitz to come to the podium. this is our new solid waste director, our waste services director, and I told him earlier today, I said, you don't know how happy I am to have you here. The only person happier than me is probably Debbie. But I just want to read a little bit about him. He's a United States Air Force veteran from Illinois with 2 decades of experience in waste management. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering from Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. He recently served as a division manager landfill at Republic Services in Houston, Texas, where he was responsible for the management of 3 landfills, 4 transfer stations, and a recycling center with a total staff of 110 personnel. He has experience in managing operations for nearly 4 million tons of waste annually, with revenues exceeding $90 million. So we are extremely happy to have Mr. Seitz with us.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, Administrator Moreno. Thank you to the commissioners for giving me this opportunity. Look forward to serving you and the great people of Escambia County.
Fantastic. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
And I hear he plays guitar and sings from time to time, so we'll have to see what that's about.
I do enjoy doing open mics. I'll make sure you guys get the invites.
And lastly, I'd like to send condolences to the family of Doyle Butler. He was a 22-year county employee, worked in our National Resources Division. And you know, the one thing working with Doyle, he brought so much enthusiasm and encouragement to those around him. When I mentioned to my wife the other night that he had passed away, she immediately started recounting stories of her interactions with Doyle. You know, everybody loved Doyle. He had such a great impact on the county and did a lot of great things for us. So I just want to pass along condolences to his family.
Thank you, Wes, for that. All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Quick question that I didn't get this morning about COVID. How many employees do we have out with COVID at this time?
Did he? 15 at the jail? Is that what
15
you-
at the
No, I'm saying
jail.
total for our entire
I'd
census.
have to get that number for you, Commissioner.
Okay. And I think there is some information, Eric, that the home kit does allow for you to test asymptomatic as well as those with symptoms. I think that information did come out.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I did see something about that this afternoon.
I just want to get that clarification, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you very much, Commissioner May. All right, we're going to move to our proclamations. Chair would entertain a motion on these, and we'll take them.
move.
Second.
Motion is second on the proclamations. Please vote. We're waiting for, here we go. Okay. For short one.
Robert stepped
Oh,
out.
Robert stepped out. Okay. 4-0, it passed with Robert Bender off the dais. Okay, so we'll start with our first proclamation tonight. And Eric Gilmore, I believe you've got something for us?
Commissioners, we're proud, Chief Torcell and myself, to have Carlos Arona represent us in our department in Escambia County EMS as an Employee of the Month. Carlos has done a fantastic job with the implementation of the new image trend software that Escambia County EMS has gone to for our billing cycle and for our charting for our people out in the field. He was instrumental in making sure that it was a no-fail application, that you guys didn't hear any rumblings or any problems, and obviously you didn't. You're not fussing at me about anything, so I think it went through fine. And it's that software piece that we're hoping that I come back to you in a couple of years, Commissioner May, and I recommend that we continue purchasing that software. But it was a fantastic transition. It had a couple of bumps along the way, but it was nothing that it didn't overcome, and Carlos was instrumental in making sure it went smooth, and we really appreciate his hard work on this. Go ahead, Chief.
One thing I just want to mention before I read this proclamation, the countless hours that this guy spent. You know, this is a software that we get, it's somewhat built, but then you have to make it fit your organization. And this guy took this software and basically built it from the ground up to fit our organization. And when I tell you the codes that he had to do and the processes he had to go through to build this to fit Escambia County EMS, the countless hours, it was phenomenal. This would not have been possible without Carlos. I just wanted to make that very clear. All right, young man, step up a little closer. Don't be afraid. Escambia County Proclamation. Whereas Escambia County has established an Employee of the Month program to recognize one employee to represent the various departments, and whereas Carlos Arona, a paramedic in the Emergency Medical Services Department, is selected as Employee of the Month for January 2022. for the standards of excellence that he has displayed in the performance of his duties. And whereas Carlos began his employment with the county on January 3rd, 2015, and provides excellent service to the citizens of Escambia County through all assigned duties, and whereas paramedic assigned to Escambia County, Carlos is responsible for the protection of life through the performance of emergency medical services, providing basic and advanced life support to patients at the scene of emergencies and while transporting sick and injured patients to medical care facilities. He is also responsible for working an emergency medical team member who may direct personnel at an emergency scene and directly reports to a paramedic supervisor. And whereas Carlos has demonstrated significant dedication and has worked tirelessly to maintain aspects of implementing the new image trend report writing software that have been extremely successful. He spent countless hours building the image trend operations platform for use by ECEMS, was reassigned to a Monday through Friday schedule, which significantly impacted his home life, to assist employees with any needs to troubleshoot the new system, has trained employees on an individual basis when needed, and has attended every meeting regarding the implementation of this software. And whereas in the short term that ECEMS has had image trend, it has shown to facilitate a faster process for documenting, provides a better information exchange between EMS and hospitals, and expedites the billing process. Without the hard work of Carlos that he has provided, our success with image trend would not have been possible. And whereas Carlos is now changing his shift assignment for an undetermined period of time to assist the night shift operations where staffing shortages are more prevalent, while the duties are the same as the day shift, the change in the schedule to help his coworkers has an impact on his home life. This is another example of how Carlos continues to go above and beyond to meet the needs of EMS. He is always observed to have great rapport with all EMS community partners and other agencies that EMS works with. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida, commends and congratulates Mr. Carlos Arona on the selection as the Employee of the Month for January 2022. Your Board of County Commissioners, Escambia County, Florida, Jeff Bergosh, Chairman, District 1, Douglas Underhill, Vice Chairman, District 2, Lumen J. May, District 3, Robert Bender, District 4, Stephen Berry, District 5. Congratulations, young man. There is also a returning here for you.
Would you like to say some words?
No.
Good choice.
Right on. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations. Thank you. All right. Item B was, we ratified it. It was given at a separate location. So item C is going to be Commissioner Berry making a presentation for the Cantonment Improvement Committee.
Thank you. Good job, buddy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's with great honor that I'm able to read this proclamation for my friends from Cantonment Improvement Committee this evening. Is this who y'all have in attendance?
Mike's out of town.
Okay, well, it's, again, I think it's worth noting something I've mentioned at a number of events over the years, that they turn more people out for their work days than they do for their recognition or for their parties or for their good times, which I think it speaks well to the public servants and the true attitude of service that they exhibit to their community and have made such an impact over the last nearly 10 years. We're getting close, maybe springtime or summertime. Maybe the May. Okay, yeah, getting very close to a 10 years. So we may end up with another proclamation, but this is certainly some recognition that I think is well deserved. I won't say overdue. I hope that over the years y'all have felt recognized in a number of formats and in a number of fashions by the county, as well as by I think many agencies recognize the value and the real change in the landscape of the Carver Park community that you've brought about over that period of time. And it's just great to have y'all here. So, in 2012, the Cantonment Improvement Committee was created with the goal of working toward the common good of the Cantonment community. The members of the Cantonment Improvement Committee and Cantonment community are working together to enrich the area they live in and to aid the residents from children to adults. Over the last 9.5 years, the Cantonment Improvement Committee has been able to source donations and provide thousands of pounds of food for the residents in the Cantonment community. The food donations are distributed in the community in large-scale events with hundreds of residents benefiting from the food distribution each time it's held in Carver Park. as recently as maybe the second week of December, if I recall, on a Saturday. It was hot, it was 75 degrees maybe, but it was in December. The children of the Cantonment community benefit from the Cantonment Improvement Committee with access to a safe play to work and play. Carver Park is the central hub for all things related to the Cantonment Improvement Committee. Through the good work done, the park has a collection of buildings that are in constant operation, serving the children and all residents in the area with computer workstations, basketball courts, covered pavilion for them to work and play in a safe space. On December 6th, 2021, CivicCon presented awards to outstanding community members and groups. The Cantonment Improvement Committee was a recipient of the Great Neighborhoods Award due to their outstanding work and outreach in the Cantonment community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County, Florida, commends the great work done by Cantonment Improvement Committee, as well as for their work for the local Cantonment community and all those residents affected. So thank you for being here, and whoever y'all have, whoever's drawn the short straw, if you'd like to say a few words. But.
I guarantee you, Josh Womack got the short one.
Yeah, brother.
This is the president, and this is the mouth.
Okay, let's get a picture. All right. Yeah, there she is.
The only way things like this happen is a true partnership with everybody got a common goal of improving the quality of life for those that are less fortunate. And we must say thank you to the commissioner, and also thank you to each and every one of y'all, because if we all don't work together, none of this would have been accomplished. So I just want to say thank you from the Cantonment Improvement Committee.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Josh. Josh, tell Joe Mack I want that Christmas dinner.
All right. And that concludes our proclamations. So that moves us to the next part of the agenda. Did the clerk's office receive proofs of publication for the public hearings on the agenda and the board's weekly meeting schedule?
Mr. Chairman, the clerk's office has received all proofs.
Chair would entertain a motion on waiving the reading of the legal. We have a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote on waiving the reading. All right, motion to waive the reading passes unanimously. That moves us to the clerk and comptroller's report. Pam Childers, you're recognized.
Thank you. We have 4 items on the consent agenda for your review. I'd like to reiterate that we are wrapping up a financial audit. I expect good things to come from that. We also are doing our entrance conference for our TDT Auditor General audit. That is an operational audit, very different. I have asked for a full operational audit instead of just a very specific. That would help us with transparency and to critique anything that we're doing that either needs to be corrected or praised by Escambia County and any other operations that we do. We will discuss that next week. Also, I'd like to thank your staff, Wes, that I've worked with in my department for the Kronos, UKG, payroll, whatever you refer to it as. There are bumps, a lot of overtime, a lot of dedication, but successful. We've got to get off the spreadsheets. We need time and key entry for those that work to have accountability, and this brings us into a more robust system to provide reports, feedback, et cetera. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Chair would entertain a motion.
Chairman, do we have any speakers on the clerk's report?
I have no speakers on the clerk's.
Move the clerk's report in the affirmative, items 1 through 4.
Second. We have a motion and a second on that. Please vote. All right, the clerk's report passes unanimously. Horace Jones, you're recognized for growth management.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just out of protocol and my failure to have good vision, I did not see our school board member that serves in District 3 with me, Larry Williams, here. So is he here? Is Larry here? There he is. So our ECUA board member that serves in District 3 with me is here, and thank you for being here, Larry.
And in that same vein, I do want to recognize Robert Beasley and Executive Director Bruce Woody from ECUA. Thank you both for being here as well. I know that, and I appreciate you, Mr. Williams, being here as well. I understand there could be some discussions later, and I appreciate your presence here. Horace, you're recognized.
Yes,
And
Mr. Happy.
unlike our last meeting, we're going to do this one by one.
Yes, sir.
We're going to make sure we dot the i's and cross the t's.
Absolutely. So, and what's Happy New Year to each of you. For tonight,
Thank you.
the first item on the agendas, item A and B, we have our rezoning cases. We have rezoning case number 1, Z 2021-13, from HDR to commercial. The planning board made a recommendation for approval. Rezoning case number 1.
Okay, and before we get to the vote on that, we have a speaker. Would it be the board's preference to hear from the speaker? Okay, then we'll go ahead and call up Mr. Skip Butler.
The only speaker on this case appeared to be Chad Rome.
I have the,
I mean,
in other
who
words, he
spoke
can't speak.
before the
Okay.
planning board.
So in other words, this gentleman cannot speak.
Skip is listed as a speaker on a different case, and maybe there's some confusion about which case he intended to speak on.
last case.
Oh, he's on the last case, okay. All right. It didn't disaggregate that
Yeah,
for me.
he's
Okay.
on the fifth, so he's going to be on the fifth rezoning case tonight.
Gotcha. Okay, that's not what I had, but okay, very good. All right, so the chair would entertain a motion on the first one. No speakers on that?
Move that we accept the rezoning in accordance with the recommendation by the planning board.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the first item. Please vote. It's not coming up.
Let me restart that, Mr. Chairman. Sorry about that.
We're having technical
Oh,
issues.
it
here
looks like it
comes.
might be
Okay,
coming up.
there you go.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay. All right, Z 2021-13 passes unanimously. Okay, next up, Z 2021-15.
Yes, sir. Rezoning number case, number 2, 2021-15, from heavy commercial light industrial to industrial future, to industrial. And the planning board made a recommendation for approval.
And no speakers on this?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Move the item in the affirmative to support the planning board recommendation from HCLI to industrial.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on this. Any further discussions? Seeing none, please vote. All right, Z 2021-15 passes unanimously. Next up,
Rezoning case number 3, 2021-16, from heavy commercial light industrial, again to industrial. The planning board made a recommendation for approval.
Mr. Chairman, any speakers?
I don't believe that we have any speakers on that item. Chair would entertain a motion.
On the next item either?
I believe that we have one speaker for the
Fifth
whole.
item, okay.
So 3 and 4, we have no speakers, if you'd like to make
All
those.
right. I'll still move them separately. Move case 2021-16 in the affirmative from HCLI to industrial.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on that. Any further discussion? Please vote. All right, that passes unanimously. Number 4.
Number 4, rezoning case 20-21-17, from heavy commercial light industrial, again to industrial. The planning board made a recommendation for approval.
Move to approve rezoning 2021-17 from HCLI to industrial.
Second.
Motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. All right, the item passes unanimously. Case number 5, we do have a speaker, Skip Butler.
He stated he don't have to speak.
No, okay.
All right.
Waiving in support, I'm assuming?
All right. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Case Z 2021-18, move to approve from LDMU to commercial.
Second.
Motion and a second. Seeing no others, please vote. Item passes unanimously.
And Mr. Chairman, for Skip and for Billy and Bob, they don't go any easier than that, so.
Yeah, that's a pretty easy.
Congratulations to all of you.
All right, 5:45, there's no
Adoption of the zoning maps.
no speakers. Chair would entertain a motion.
Move the item in the affirmative.
Second.
Motion is second for the 5:45. Please vote. We have speakers on the next one. All right, the 5:45 passes unanimously. Our next item, we have two speakers for the 5:46.
Yes, so 546, this is the review and adoption for a small-scale map amendment and the rezoning case will be coming the following, from mixed-use urban to public. This small-scale map amendment.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry.
You're okay.
If we can steer, I know there were a handful of folks from ECUA who were here to discuss this. If we can steer the folks who did not speak at the rezoning hearing before the planning board to this item,
Okay.
they can speak on the future land use amendment. So if we can steer them to that, we can stay procedurally correct in the event that we
Okay,
need
let's
to
go
with
ahead and-
regards to the rezoning.
Let's untangle that right now. I'm going to take a moment to figure this out. So Brooke Forrester, are you here? Okay. Did you speak to this at the planning board? You did. Okay. So do you want to speak at the 5:47 where you're signed up, or do you want to speak to this item?
I know Mr. Woody, for example, Mr. Beasley,
Yeah.
Mr. Williams, the ECUA folks did not speak at the planning board for the rezoning, but they clearly would like the opportunity to address the board.
Yep,
So
and
I would
that's-
steer them to the,
Yeah. And
Small
so the
scale.
5:46 is where they can speak.
Correct.
Okay. That's what I thought. Okay. So Barbara Godwin, did you speak at the rezoning hearing?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And Jack Smith, did you speak at the planning board? Okay. Do you all want to just stay there and wait till the next item? Okay, perfect. So we're on the 5:46, and we'll start with Robert Beasley. You're recognized. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. I'm here on behalf of the ECUA as Service General Counsel for the ECUA. I also have Mr. Woody, who's the director of the ECUA, and as indicated, our board member has shown also to answer any questions you may have. A few just small comments on where we are. So it's a kind of an unusual but not unheard of zoning and map case for two reasons. One, in most cases, you're seeking to discuss prospective use of a property. So there's a good bit of speculation on what the owner is going to do and what they could do. You also have a zoning classification where you have a broad category of possible uses. In this case, what's rare about it is we're actually using the property for the same exact use that we intend to use it following this procedure. The nature of the facility will change, but the actual use will remain the same. The other thing is that the category being sought is public, in which there's not a wide variety of possible uses. So there's no need to speculate on what could be done later with the property. It will be public, and this use will be fixed. The issue before you is presented related to a change of the use. First of all, and as the zoning indicated at the planning board from your staff, this property has been public, is owned by the ECUA, should have probably always been public. And so what we're doing is seeking to adjust the land use map and the zoning to adjust its current use. What this process has done for us with the notice and such is given us an opportunity to get neighborhood impact and impact from the community, which we can address. And so we've sought to address some of those in the application and throughout this process. This matter will come to the commission again at the DRC process. The process that the input we've had relates to traffic. And so in result of that, the actual use today involves the sanitation vehicles coming, ingressing, egressing through the property. We've agreed to a restriction that the Godwin Lane will not be used for those vehicles. There will only be Pine Forest Road. So we're trying to address the traffic concern on that. It will be the same exact vehicles. Those vehicles are coming and going today and will continue to come and go. There was an issue related and a concern related to odor. Think about current use versus future use. Or odor, today those trucks park overnight with the trash in them. Mm-hmm. In this case, we'll put them inside, the trash will go inside of an enclosed facility. We'll have a misting system, a HEPA filter system, and the facility's closed at night. So from those purposes, those conditions will be improved by this measure versus open as a concern. The other issues relates to pest and so forth. Unfortunately, the rodents, to the extent they are not attracted to this, they're unaffected by this legal proceeding. They're either there or they're not. We don't have a tremendous problem now. We don't expect to have a problem in the future. So because of that, we believe that this is an improvement of the situation on site with the actual use being improved for the community. The other thing I wanted to add in my 12 remaining seconds is what's also rare about this case is the zone of impact. It's usually anticipated that it's a localized zone of impact, and that's why the notice is only 500 feet. But in this case, the impact is tremendous. Nature Trail and Beulah Road and 9 Mile Road, they didn't get notice of this. Had they done so, the community would have been here. You had to have an outcry in support, because getting these trucks off of 9 Mile Road and out of that traffic line is a tremendous benefit. The other tremendous benefit to us is the safety of our drivers. We've had multiple trucks tip over on the pile because the trucks just aren't designed to go up on that pile and dump. And so we keep having trucks damaged, and one day it may cause the damage to one of our drivers or an injury, and we're trying to avoid that with this case. So this is a win-win-win for everyone in the community. I understand there's concerns. This has given us the opportunity to address those neighborhood concerns, and we'll continue to hear those concerns, but we think this is the right answer for everyone.
Okay, thank you, and thank you again for being here, Mr. Beasley. And I would just ask if you and Mr. Woody would stay in case there's additional questions that we have. Bruce Woody, Executive Director, you are recognized, unless you'd like to pass till the next? No? Okay, all right, very good. Yes, Commissioner Bender.
I had some questions, if you had.
For Mr. Woody?
For Mr. Beasley's fine. So I'm guessing you're reading off of maybe some emails and things like that we'd received, so I just want to try to go ahead and address them while we're in this format. There was a couple others were additional litter, that there'd be additional litter.
So we looked at that concern, and we did. We received the same emails you did. Our staff and crew spent the day and 2 days now researching these things and vetting them out. Additional litter isn't really a concern. There's no additional material being brought to the site due to this movement. The only thing that's occurring is that there will be hopefully the construction of a facility to put the materials inside of. Every bit of material that's currently stored in the trucks will go into the transfer station. Interesting, we don't intend on storing it there. It's from there moved into the large trucks and then moved out. And so we continue the process all day long, and there's not a plan to store material there. What happens today is trucks that don't quite make it to the landfill by the end of the day, they stay there overnight. State of Florida allows you to stay there 7 days, which we would never do, but they stay there overnight. That's only because they couldn't make it to the landfill. There's no additional material coming or going due to this. The idea, of course, is for it all to make it to the landfill. This is just basically collecting it in a way that the large trucks move.
And
loading and unloading will be inside of the building, by the way.
And I've been to our transfer station before, and I didn't notice any when I drove in. I mean, I know it was dark, but I didn't notice a lot flying around. Also, there was some concern with the runoff from the facility.
So the facility will have a drainage system inside. The floor will be sloped in a way. This is not a wet process, so there's no water added, but there may be materials and so forth. And so there will be a containment system inside. There will be no runoff outside of the facility.
And then I guess, of course, this is just one email that I'm looking at right now. Are there any other concerns that you want to go ahead and address?
There were a couple
been raised that we want to make sure we can discuss.
The one that I thought was interesting because it's a real concern is odor. And again, it's the comparison of what we're doing today versus what we intend to do when this goes through. And what's interesting is the odor. Today the trucks park, if they don't make the route back and forth, they park with trash in them now. So trash trucks full of trash sit out in the lot. And instead, if they don't make the dump and back, then they will go into the facility. The material will go in the facility. Inside of the facility, there's a HEPA filter system. The facility is shut down at night and closed, whereas the trucks can't be closed off. And then there's a HEPA filter system, there's a mister system. And so these odor containment systems are allowed now to be utilized, whereas they're not with the trash sitting in the individual trucks. And so it's going to be an improvement on that aspect. The other one that was mentioned, and there was an EPA siting manual referenced, and we looked at that and we went through it and to consider whether we met those criteria for the recommendation, and that's whereby the EPA suggests that a transfer station would be good for your community. And one of them was the distance. It's 17 miles from the coast up to the facility. It's 29 miles from the beach, and that's the issue. It's a 29-mile trip for one truck to make it to the fill and back, and it has to sit in that traffic out on 9 Mile Road and add to that congestion. The idea is to get this material to a transfer station, thus shortening that leg. This actually meets the siting criteria that the EPA recommends in their guidelines as an ideal scenario. Plus, the EPA guidelines reference it, but they don't actually exaggerate on it because they say it's up to the local community. It references damage to the vehicles, which is going to be prevented by this, safety concerns of those vehicles extending on the time. We will shorten the distance overall that these vehicles, the collection vehicles, are on the road tremendously, thereby shortening the exposure to the traffic of having garbage trucks driving around. And so again, there's additional benefits for those. One of the last concerns is, why put it here? Well, first of all, we already own the property. We're already using the property for this use. We're just doing it inefficiently, and we're not doing it harnessing the technology now available. We're kind of doing it old school. We're parking trucks full of garbage out there and then getting them the next morning and running the route. This is taking us forward into a new, innovative, modern facility so that allows us to handle this waste in an efficient and clean manner.
Any further discussion on this topic? The chair would entertain a motion on the 545.
Move the item in the affirmative.
A second.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
before we take action, I mean,
Yes.
being in your district, are you good with it?
At this stage, and what I've told the folks, I've received a number of emails from you, and I've answered each and every one. Where we're at right now, this is a request from ECUA, and they're requesting a land use zoning change and a future land use change. I've really no issue with this, with the zoning change. Now, what they plan to do in the future, I'm going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. There will be multiple opportunities for citizens to weigh in. Full disclosure, this is something that I've been, and this board has been pressed to do because of the fact that our existing transfer station is over capacity. Oftentimes, it'll be closed early, several days in a week early because it's full. So we want to be, I know speaking for myself, I want to answer to the residents. I want to be courteous. I want to hear from you. But at the same time, I do understand the reasons why ECUA is requesting this. So for tonight's purposes, to your question, Commissioner Berry, I really don't have an issue with this.
Okay.
But when it comes to, what comes next, there's going to be a very, very thorough vetting of anything that's going to be constructed in that neighborhood.
Super.
Yep.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
Just to clarify, you said the 545, but this is the
545 is what we're voting on.
We got 546 up.
Wait a minute. I've got two speakers on the 545, and then I've got a number of speakers that I haven't heard from yet on the 546. We're on the 545 is what we're.
We're at 545.
Well, then my screen is. Then it's a 5. Okay. All right. Then.
You missed the speakers?
No. We're going to hear from the speakers. Then if we're on the 5.
Did we take action on the 545?
No, we have
Yes.
not taken.
Yes, sir, we took action on the 545.
Adopting
That
the
was,
maps
The
from the
The maps for the
545
rezoning.
was the 5 rezoning, was the 5 of them.
Yeah, we already did that one.
So,
Okay.
Commissioner Underhill,
So we're on the 546. So then we do have a number of speakers that we're going to hear from first.
No, the 546 shows only 2 speakers.
Then who are?
But then you have the item 4, this is item 3.
Okay. Yep. You're right. All right. So this
Mr.
is.
Chairman, the intent of my motion was for the 546.
Okay. There we go.
That's all I was trying to clarify.
Yes, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, I was looking at the wrong number. Okay, 546, so yes, and then we'll have the speakers on the next item.
my second's good for
Okay.
546.
Any further discussion?
No, I'm certainly going to support it and support my friends at ECUA, and I did speak with my ECUA representative, but I do ask my representative and our executive director, Wes and I have worked particularly with the pickups at ECUA in District 3 with a lot of the debris. We're utilizing a lot of manpower, and we certainly would need your help in some of the things that are not being picked up in District 3. We're having to enhance and spend a lot on cleanups. And so if we could just plead with you in a public setting, we could use your help in the pickups for these residents that seem to not be picked up by ECUA, and it's kind of falling on the backs of the county. So if any help that you guys can do with that, we certainly would appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Appreciate that. All right. Any further discussion? Please vote. Item passes unanimously. Now we will move to the next item.
Yes, sir. And the
And
next item is item number 4.
Yes.
This is the rezoning for the ECUA property.
And we have a number.
Rezoning C21-14 from commercial to public, and there were speakers that spoke at the planning board
Right.
for the rezoning.
And now we're going to have them one by one, and starting with Brooke Forrester.
And what was the recommendation from the planning board?
The planning board made a recommendation for approval for the rezoning. Yes, sir.
Please step forward. You're recognized. Thank you for being here.
All right, my name is Dr. Brooke Forrester. I was born and raised here in Pensacola and actually live in Nature Trail. As stated repeatedly by Mr. Prakash, we understand that this is an ECUA issue. It's not a county project. We get that, but it's a county issue. We need the support of all the commissioners tonight so that we can end this proposal. That's our hope. In May 2020, we learned ECUA was proposing a waste transfer station in our backyard. The proposed ECUA site located at 3050 Godwin Lane is the actual site. So to give you a background, a little context, my family has been in the area for the last 70 years. My great-grandfather, Henry Godwin, actually cleared Godwin Lane, that Godwin Lane. Our church is built there. We've got my great-grandparents, they own the land directly behind the church and their rental property, which is adjacent to ECUA. For years there, they've kept cattle, chickens, goats, baled hay, and years ago sold produce. So for over 70 years, this has been our home. It's our family's heritage. Selling out isn't an option, which is something some people have just tossed at me, like, why don't you just sell, get away from them. We've been there for 70 years. According to the documents on the EPA's website, and I'm sure that's the emails that you guys are referencing, they actually state it should be located, designed, and operated to ensure the public health, safety, and welfare of the community and the environment. The station should be located to minimize incompatibility with the characteristics of the surrounding area. They include traffic noise and odor may exist around the waste transfer station. Other problems they've already mentioned, the rodents, birds, litter, air emission. Without a doubt, odor is going to be a problem. ECUA says they will minimize the odor, most likely with the exhaust fans and obviously their mister system, but where will that runoff go? The field, my grandparents' field is directly next door, like field fence ECUA. As far as the noise goes and the odor, will the odor just magically disappear? The noise, we currently can hear the beeping of the backup truck, or the trucks as they back up. So with the increased traffic and up and going, I'm sure that noise will increase as well. Consider the heavy machinery that would be required to move the garbage from the small trucks into the bigger trucks. We're going to hear that. According to the EPA, the transfer station structures can experience substantial vibrations from the heavy equipment used to compact and load the waste into the transfer vehicles, yet another disturbance. At the last meeting, Mr. Woody actually stated that the trucks should not be parking at the ECUA facility overnight with trash in them, and they've already said, well, they actually do that. Since we've been there, I think ECUA moved into the area in the 80s. Since they've been there, we've seen nothing but them just increasing their operations and their activities right on top of us. So my question to the board, if you were us and you were in our shoes, what would you do? Would you want this in your backyard? Would you want this to happen to you? So,
I appreciate you being here. Thank you. Next speaker, Barbara Godwin.
Do I give my name or anything?
I'm sorry? No, you're good. We have you down.
Okay. I want to thank you for the opportunity to express our concerns about the building of a waste transfer station on the Godwin Lane ECUA property. We residents of this community strongly oppose rezoning the ECUA property use from commercial use to industrial use, paving the way to put in that transfer station, I'm sure. We object to the rezoning as well, the building of a transfer station on Godwin Lane. Please do not industrialize and destroy our great community. My family and I have owned this property for 75 years. When times were hard for everybody, we farmed, all of us kids as well. We farmed, raised livestock, chickens to help provide food for ourselves and the community. We built rental houses to help with a housing problem for the community. We did our part to help the community survive, and now we are being rewarded by ECUA, trying to destroy our property values and create potential problems, such as has already been mentioned, the noise and the operation of the equipment. It's already a lot of noise from all the operation down there. And with all this other mechanics equipment being installed, it definitely will make a lot more noise. And as everybody says, there won't be, or some people say there won't be a problem with rodents and birds and flies and stray animals. We do see them now, and that's not going to stop, I'm sure. Safety concerns with traffic jams and parking problems on the site. It is sure thing that loaded trucks will break down and have to sit there overnight. No doubt all the critters will have a feast and the odor will be terrific. Opposing claims are made that these problems will not exist, but we question that. While we believe such a facility may be needed, we know that it should not be located in any residential community. Please shop for a remote area for this project. Please, please, we plead for our support, your support, in not allowing the rezoning of the ECUA property. Commissioners, please vote no. Our concerns go on, and again, please vote no, and we would thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Jack Smith.
Hi, thank you for your time. I own the house parallel to ECUA's driveway on Godwin Lane, and they state that all the trucks go in Pine Forest, on Pine Forest. That's simply not true. I see 20 or 30 trucks every day going in this area. Another concern is naturally the odor. Well, you know, if you run coffee through a filter, it still smells like coffee. And if they do have hood fans and it's blowing it up in the air, Mother Nature's going to spread it around the neighborhood, which is not good. I've been there for 9 years on Godwin Lane, and I watched business thrive on Pine Forest. But I do feel that if they put the transfer station in there, it's going to put the brakes on, because who wants to open a restaurant when you walk in, it smells like trash, you walk out, it smells like trash? I mean, I understand they need transfer station, but don't put it in a residential area, please. I thank you for your time, and very good. And one more thing, sir. I sit on my front porch, I watch rats naturally come across the street. Since I've been there, I think I've killed 30. But very good. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. All right, our next speaker again is Robert Beasley. Did you have any other?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I just wanted to add a few things to address the comments of our neighbors. And Ms. Forrester mentioned something that I had forgotten to mention earlier, and that is the stormwater issue. Currently, the site shares a stormwater pond with the adjacent neighbor, and it's a little bit insufficient just from a stormwater scenario. Currently, the rainwater and other fluids that would come out of the sanitation vehicles goes into that stormwater pond. That's how it's handled currently today. So our plan, the engineering plans we have at this point, is to construct a new stormwater pond to adequately address the stormwater needs, but also the materials then are put inside the facility, and that drain goes into the sanitary sewer system. So the effort is to remedy what may be a concern even today, which is that some of that material does go into the stormwater system, which is an inadequate system at this point. It's a small pond, but it's also been overgrown. So we're going to put a new pond in to handle stormwater, and then we're going to divert the concerning materials, if there's any, into the sanitary system. So that'll be an improvement, I think, to the neighborhood. Ms. Godwin mentioned the additional equipment. There will not be any additional equipment outside of the facility. The only additional equipment will be inside of the facility. And so that's that opportunity. And Mr. Smith asked about the filter system. That's a little bit out of my purview, so I'm going to ask Mr. Woody to describe that air filter system. I can assure you it has been researched and vetted. It's used in other facilities, and I want him to give you a little bit of a description on it. And again, we're trying to be good neighbors. We're trying to do this the best way we can, and this is a long process, and we continue to work together so that this is a success for everyone.
Mr. Beasley.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm sensitive to those citizens, because I have the Wedgewood neighborhood that Larry Williams and I have had to work with landfills, which is sad. Is there a rodent problem? I would imagine that it is. I mean, how is that being controlled? I mean, the citizen just had a concern of rodents and rats. I mean, how are you controlling it? I know you can't control them to a property line.
So, is there a rodent problem? There are rodents, for sure. What we're trying to do, though, is consolidate this material inside of a closed facility. The problem is that it's all out in the open and it's in the trucks, and that's today. That's not a condition we're creating. We're trying to remedy that condition. When we take the materials and put them into a facility and lock it down and shut it down, then one, we're attracting the rodents all to an interior space as opposed to the outdoors, and two, we're limiting their access. So whether or not there's a rodent problem today, we do have procedures in place to control that. We don't have an excessive amount of rodents reported, but if there is a problem, this will remedy that problem or at least alleviate it.
So you're saying the rodent problem will improve by this proposal?
We're putting it in an enclosed facility and locking it down. So getting it out of the trucks. It is not the right answer to leave it in the trucks overnight.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, and that's fine. I see Mr. Woody shaking his head. Jeff, it's not my district. Yeah. But I mean, for me, it would have to be, the protocols for controlling the rodents. I mean, there has to be something for.
That's going to be.
They're going to be rodents. I mean, and so how do you control them and how do you minimize them? And that action plan should be in place before people proceed. I mean, people didn't look at what happened after they put landfills in residential areas until it was way too late. And so I think it's proactive. So I mean, it's your district, it's your leadership. Yeah. But I empathize with the citizen who came down and said he sits on his porch and see rodents, because I have people in my district who, when people scrap metal and they crush it and they can't barbecue because metal falls, or someone's crushing concrete and silica's in their yard. So I don't want the rodents. Maybe in Perdido I'll get a white mice, but I don't want a black rat in my neighborhood.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Well, I think a lot of those issues are going to come up during the DRC process as well.
I know you'll address them. Yeah. Jeff, I know you will address them, but I just want, for my support, I want to put that out there because I'm concerned as well. I mean, people supported my district and the issues that we had with landfills. I'm certainly going to support others.
Thank you. I
So,
appreciate
I
that.
know you'll address it.
Allison, you had your light on for a moment. Did you need to weigh in on something?
I was just going to remind not to expand the field of speakers. The attorney is
Yep.
fine, but we don't
Yep.
want to.
Gotcha. Commissioner Bender, you're right.
Thank you. And then I just want to clarify something that I think I heard, and there was that currently today, there are trucks entering off of Godwin Lane, but you're looking to change that route to have fewer trucks. So we're not saying that, you're not saying that there aren't currently trucks there. You're saying that with the change, you're looking to remove the amount of trucks that are currently using Godwin Lane and probably have them enter off of Pine Forest? Is that the...
Yes, Commissioner Bender, one of the benefits of this interaction is we had the opportunity to speak to our neighbors, and it's just not something you do. And this idea of trucks coming down Godwin, truthfully, there wasn't really a policy. It was just a matter of convenience. The trucks, the best access for those trucks is off of Pine Forest. And so the presumption is everyone went in and out of Pine Forest. Well, following the first couple interactions in this process, the neighbors on Godwin Lane said, we don't want the sanitation trucks coming down Godwin. Makes perfect sense. So ECUA has enacted a policy that is strictly enforced now and will continue to be, that the trucks don't come down Godwin. Now, that's the sanitation trucks. The pictures that we were presented, and I don't want to get into debate about it, but the pictures we were presented had other equipment trucks and so forth related to the contractors that were working on the site. We've also now notified those contractors not to use that entrance. The pickup trucks, like I drive, the employee trucks, will continue to use the Godwin Gate for their employee parking, but that's just regular vehicle traffic. It's not going to increase, not going to decrease, but the idea here is we've become aware now that this is a concern. It makes sense, and it was a matter of convenience anyway, but now there's a policy.
And Jeff, I think, I know we've talked about this before. I remember looking at the map. There had been the issue of littering and things like that, but I think, if I remember you saying, it was that it was determined that it necessarily wasn't coming from the ECUA site currently. And
Yeah, we've asked that question because there were some folks that thought that the garbage that you see on the side of the roads was flying out of the back of the trucks, but it's my understanding, in speaking to Bruce Woody, and Bruce, hopefully you can elaborate that when you come on that when you come up, but your trucks are covered when they go, and these transfer trucks, these big semis that take the stuff, they're covered?
Yeah, transfer trailers will have tarps that are drawn over the entire top of the vehicle.
And did you want to talk about the filter system?
Yes. During the hours of operation, there will be vehicles going in and out of that building, and we'll have a mister system that will be spraying a fine mist over the doorways, and any condensation or moisture from that will drain back into the interior collection system that goes to the sanitary sewer. So that will help during hours of operation. After hours of operation, the doors will be closed. And also, to help supplement both during hours of operation as well as during hours that were closed, we'll have a negative pressure biofilter exhaust system. So that'll be drawing air into the building so the air doesn't leave outside the building. It's negative pressure, so we're drawing air into the building. And the exhaust of that system will go through a biofilter system that it uses and employs our yard waste compost. So the smell you would get outside of that exhaust is going to be like that earthy, peaty type smell, as opposed to concerns about solid waste.
And when that's exhausted out the top through a I mean, tell me about where does it go? It goes out the top of your building?
That's still somewhat subject to design. The exhaust system will be, it'll draw from the roof and upper sections, but it will exhaust through the biofilter system, which will be located on the ground.
Okay.
Just outside the building. The exact location is still subject to final design.
Okay. And I would say it would make sense to exhaust that away from the residential area.
Certainly, yeah. North side of the building. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Mr. Woody?
No, it's going to be in the DRC, but Mr. Wood, I mean, how do y'all plan to control the rodents? I mean, you said, I mean, Mr. Beasley said it'll improve. I mean, what are y'all doing to improve? I mean,
the problem with birds and rodents is dealing with the attractant being solid waste.
Of course.
Right now, our vehicles have about a 6 foot by 8 foot opening in the top, which is how we dump cans into the vehicle in the first place. So when that's open overnight, that's an attractant for various vectors. But the beauty of having the transfer station is that any vehicles that come in that weren't able to reach the landfill during their earlier part of the afternoon and are partially loaded can then instead go to the transfer station, eject their load, and have everything kept inside of that structure with the odor control systems I just discussed, and being able to keep birds out and have a better controlled means to address vectors. And therefore, then when the vehicles are parked back outside, you don't have that attractant.
So,
That's an improvement.
and we just got a solid waste director, and so I've never had a conversation with him, but I will very shortly. But I remember Pat Johnson, our former waste manager, we looked at waste away, looked at, are these converted into any type of recyclables, energy, or, I mean, what, this transfer station, is it just waste going to a landfill, or are you, well, I mean, what are you doing with the product once you get it inside of this?
A transfer station, depending on the volume on the individual load, will have anywhere from 2 to 4 vehicles worth of
Is it mixed with yard debris, food?
No, this is literally, like the word describes, a transfer of vehicles. Instead of it being in the packer truck that's currently, that you see in your neighborhood picking up the cans, we'll eject a load, put it into a large semi-tractor trailer system that has a walking floor on it, and then when it gets to landfill, it'll eject out the end of the walking floor trailer.
So there's no process, it's just
There's
a
no
holding
process.
station?
Yeah, we're just changing the vehicle by which it's carried the rest of its destination.
To be put into a landfill?
Yeah. Some of the loads will also be recycling. That'll go to our recycling center.
So there's no recycling process happening there?
There's no process. It's just conveyance from one vehicle to another.
So you don't have a recycling program where you're converting any of the waste into anything other than putting it into a landfill? It goes from there to the landfill?
Certainly, we have the MRF, the materials recycling facility at the landfill.
At the landfill.
A major facility.
But it all that gets processed at the landfill?
At the landfill, yeah, at the MRF.
Thanks, Bruce.
Commissioner Bender?
I was just going to say, just to clarify, it's going to our landfill.
Yes, it is going to your landfill.
Okay.
Perdido. Per our contract.
Yeah, that's what I said. I mean, they can't put it and then take it somewhere else.
Right.
It's got to stay. Yeah.
All right, any further questions? Anything further from you, Mr. Wood? Okay, the chair would entertain a motion on the item. Second? No, let's take a motion.
Move the item in the affirmative.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Please vote. All right, item 4 passes unanimously.
And the next item, Commissioners, is to 547. This is the adoption of the zoning map for this
Action.
zoning case. for
And
this
there's no
action.
speakers.
Move the 547.
Second.
Motion and second. Please vote. .547 passes unanimously. Horace?
We have the 548. This is to review and approve. This is the second amendment of a Wildwood Estates Development Agreement.
No speakers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move the 548.
Second.
Motion and second on the 548. Please vote. All right, the 548 passes unanimously.
Then we have our action items. We have the at-large appointment to the Board of Adjustments. We have Maya Moss or Randy Paulson.
So we've got the ballots going out. It's an either or.
Either one of these people are here today?
And
Is Maya Moss or Randy Ponson here? Either of them?
Maya is on the ballot for later also.
On the ballot for what?
She is, but Lumen was asking if she was in attendance here.
She's listed on the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee options later in your agenda. It does not appear to be a dual office holding prohibition since the housing position is advisory only.
Okay. Thank you. All right, we're going to tally those up real quick. Lumen, you had your light on?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, we have 2 votes for Maya Moss and 3 votes for Randy Ponson.
Chair would entertain a motion.
Move that we appoint Randy Ponson to this position.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Please vote. So that means we went 1B. And that passes 5-0. All right? We drop this next one?
Yes, sir. For the final plat to be moved or rescheduled to the 18th.
All right, do we need a motion on that, to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move to reschedule the second item concerning the final plat for Iron Rock to January 18th, to the
Second.
morning meeting on the 18th.
Okay.
Second.
Motion is second. Please vote. All right, the item passes unanimously.
Item number B, we have several street names for approval. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the same my page. I'm sorry.
that
We have
one-
the consent agenda for February 3rd. I believe there's some actions for this to be.
Yes.
Move the consent agenda, items A and B.
Now, and I'll second that, but I will say this, we're moving those to the 10th,
Okay, what attempt, okay.
the 10th, okay? And my second stands.
Motion stands.
All right, please vote. All right, passes unanimously. Okay. Thank you, Horace. Okay, we're moving to the county administrator's report. Wes?
Mr. Chairman, there's 7 items on the technical public service consent agenda. I believe we will need to hold item 6 so that a determination can be made regarding the West Florida Public Library Board of Governance appointees.
And number 7 as well, Commissioner May had asked that we hold that.
He has since communicated that there's no need to hold that
Okay,
one.
so we'll, Chair would entertain a motion on the balance,
Move
holding
the
number
balance.
6. Okay. Motion and second on the balance. Please vote. Commissioner Barry?
I'm sorry.
Do we have another card?
No, sir, I'm not sure why it's not coming up. Let me save
I'm
it
not-
again.
Sorry, I apologize for these technical glitches.
There it
Oh, there
goes.
we go, okay. All right, that item passes unanimously, so now we're up to CAR 16, and Wes, do you want to present that? Or we're going to take a vote?
I believe it'll be a vote.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, if whoever's elected, I would go with option A to go ahead and approve them immediately?
Yeah, I think
Or
that-
is this the one we're doing both of them?
We're going to do both of them, right?
One person for A and one person for B, but I would see taking both actions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, Oh, you don't? All right. So I have speakers on 228. And nothing's changed, just those? Yes. Okay, cool, thank you. All right,
Okay.
what do we got?
Mr. Chairman, for item A, I have 2 votes for Elaine Brown and 3 votes for Kathleen Crook.
Okay,
And for item B, I have 3 votes for Elaine Brown and 2 votes for Kathleen Crook.
okay, Chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, move item A for Kathleen Crook to serve the 2-year, 2-month term, and item B for Elaine Brown to serve the 2-year term.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on this item. Please vote. All right, passes unanimously. All right, card 2.
Mr. Chairman, there are 40 items on the Budget Finance Consent Agenda. Please make the following change. Drop card 2-7, the recommendation concerning contract agreement with Gulf Marine Construction for Lafitte Cove Canal Dredging Project, and hold for speakers, card 2-28, card 2-34, and card 2-38.
Okay, Chair would entertain a motion on the balance, unless there's anything else that my counterparts would like to hold.
Mr. Chairman, what item is the pricing agreement again?
For which?
The pricing agreement for Public Works.
Would you like to hold that one as well, Steve?
24, Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman, if you can just indulge me for 30 seconds.
Sure, yeah,
just
no
to
problem.
make sure. The Joy,
She's here.
Joy. So the, whatever we're doing with the pricing agreement here, this is, there's only one item in the backup.
This
So
is
this is only between us and roads.
This is for materials.
This is for materials. This is not for projects, so to speak. This is to purchase asphalt
Okay.
or
So is roads the only counterparty on this agreement?
possibly Panhandle.
Okay. All right. All right, I just needed to glance at it. Previously on the pricing agreement, there's been a firm that I had to abstain from. They're not part of the current pricing agreement. I needed to make sure they weren't a party to whatever this is.
Yeah, that would have been the general drainage and paving pricing
Yeah.
agreement.
Okay, all right, I got you.
So Commissioner Barrett, we do not need to hold this for you.
No, I don't think so. I will ask this. So
Yeah,
roads does seem to be the only counterparty to this, and why wouldn't Panhandle be? Panhandle is a provider. I mean, they have an asphalt plant.
Typically, it's a multiple award contract with roads or Panhandle. This is in a 60-day extension. We're currently in the process of re-advertising and rebidding the contract.
And again, forgive me, Wes, and I don't have any issue with this, other than the fact it's odd that the extension is only related to roads, when I know that we use Panhandle as a,
I will verify, it could be that roads would be the only one that would extend their current price, but I would have to verify that.
okay, all right, well enough. No, Mr. Chairman, it's not necessary to be held. Thank you.
Okay, so the chair would entertain a motion on the balance, except for, I want to add on to the, Commissioner Barry, you're going to be doing money for Pine Forest High School? I would like to piggyback $1,500 for Pine Forest as well. Can we do that, Delana? So
Yeah, wow,
that's,
that'd be
that's
fantastic.
item number 40.
Yeah, I mean, I will tell you this, and Lumen, when we had a bigger crowd here, I didn't stop to mention it when you were talking about Pine Forest football, which was just fantastic. And, Ronnie Douglas is a very close friend, and, he's a Tate guy, and, for whatever reason, got a lot of Tate kids on that Pine Forest football team. A lot of them travel from Cantonment to get to Pine Forest to play for Ronnie. But
That's what winning does.
That is exactly what winning does, and we've got a new, nonetheless, you're exactly right. That is what winning does, and that's what good leadership does, and that's Ronnie. It's I know Mike has the same situation wherever he's coaching, but they did a fantastic job. I had no idea the expense that it was to actually make one trip to play out of town. They were able to host most of the games, and then, were able to commute to a semifinal game. But, for the championship game, it was, I want to say he said it was $30,000 to get kids down there to play, to put them up for, 2 or 3 nights and practice and get them back. I just had no idea it was that expensive. They had a GoFundMe page, and I think they got some funds through that way. And I think this help will be very appreciated. And Ronnie was very, very appreciative. And I mean, they had a 9-point lead late in the fourth quarter in the state championship game. And Pine Forest is a pretty big school, but they're playing Tampa Jesuit. That's got 3,000 all male, a private school with 3,000 all male school, and and littered with D1 players on both sides of the ball. And I thought it was really impressive, and just
Almost.
very close.
A little pass in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little pass in the fourth quarter didn't work too well.
So, was the quarterback one of the young men that played for you, or the running back, either one of them?
Yep, one of them was, yeah.
Commissioner, I'd like to point out that your ECAT director is an assistant coach on that team, Rodriguez Kimbrough.
Really?
Yes, sir.
I didn't realize that, Rodriguez. That's fantastic. That's congratulations.
And the Thomas kid is Tyrone Evans' grandson with the interception at DB back there.
Oh, yeah?
And, yeah. And then Maine, it was like 6 kids that you would know, and you know their
So,
families.
okay, the kid that made the interception, the one that blocked the extra point?
Yeah,
Extra points as well?
Yeah,
Blocked
yeah.
back-to-back extra points?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, he's been with us for a long time. And, yeah, we do appreciate Rod coaching out there. And so, also, I'd like to add $1,000 to that as well.
Well, I can tell you he will be tickled, and he may be in Smokies on Monday or Tuesday next week if you want to stop by and say hello, and I'm sure he'd be appreciative.
No problem.
All right, the chair would entertain a motion on
So moved.
the balance.
Second.
Motion second on the balance. Any further discussion? Please vote. And the balance passes unanimously. So we dropped number 7, so we're moving forward now to item number 28. We do have several speakers, so we'll go ahead and hear from the speakers. I'm going to go forward to number 28. Oop. Our first speaker is Mr. Charles Krupnick, followed by Tracy McAdams. Good evening. You're recognized.
Good evening. Hello. Charles Krupnick, 14500 River Road, Pensacola. I'd like to thank the commissioners for moving forward with discussion on funding for the proposed Perdido Key Drive, Johnson Beach Road roundabout. It'll be an important infrastructure upgrade for Perdido Key. And just to take a minute or two to discuss why the roundabout would be significant, the Johnson Beach Road exit, the Johnson Beach Road intersection on Perdido Key Drive is where vehicles exit from the National Seashore on Perdido Key, where there's about 500 parking spaces. There are also about 40 parking spaces at Beach Access 1. You also have about 500 condominium units in that area, many of which are vacation rentals with the multiple vehicles that are associated with those. And there's about 60 private houses in that region as well. So it'll assist that. In addition, that particular intersection is just after a long shot down Perdido Key Drive from the Theobars Ridge, a long straight shot where people tend to speed. Coming the other direction, past the big curve, people tend to go very fast as well. So the roundabout with speed limits to approach the roundabout with traffic calming in place should really help in safety in that regard. With proper crosswalks, the roundabout would also improve safety for pedestrians and cyclists crossing from the Johnson Beach Road path to the Perdido Key multi-use path being constructed on the north side of Perdido Key Drive. In combination with other traffic control measures, such as additional crosswalk or two at other locations on Perdido Key Drive, and perhaps some modification in speed limits elsewhere, the Perdido Key Drive travel on the island should become safer and more controlled. So the project seems to be favored by many on Perdido Key, and I hope funding can be found and look forward to the project's construction. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Krupnick. And next up is Tracy McAdams.
Good evening again. And again, thank you for allowing us to speak. According to the Perdido Key Master Plan, back when it was done, the traffic calming device that was favored was a traffic signal, not a roundabout. That was the least favorite. And on page 12 of the PKMP, they actually have some questions where it shows the percentages of the people that were in favor of a traffic signal and that were opposed to a traffic signal. If you put a roundabout in there with all the buildup that's going on currently, are we just putting a Band-Aid on a severed artery with a roundabout? Because we're going to have more traffic. We already have congestions at Innerarity and Sorrento. That backs up for miles, all four ways. They put the new Circle K. You got people coming off of Perdido Key, boom, going right in there. You've got traffic coming this way. You've got traffic coming this way. And you've got people going this way and coming out. It's a mess. That roundabout, which is just about a mile or so down, up over the bridge, all that traffic that currently backs up around that corner, you know what I'm talking about, Commissioner Underhill. It backs all the way up there. If we have a roundabout in there, that's going to put more cars into that area because you can't really take the traffic light at the intersection I previously mentioned and extend the green part down Sorrento or to turn, going north. You can't really extend that because you have so much traffic going Innerarity and Gulf Beach. So I think a traffic signal there is more something that would be a better traffic calming device. It's been backed up by the Perdido Key Master Plan, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, Ms. McAdams. Commissioner Underhill, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A lot of misstatements there. The traffic issues that we have at Sorrento and Innerarity are due to the fact that we are putting in a massive infrastructure project that you gentlemen were very supportive of making happen, moving all of the utilities, improving all the utilities to concrete poles, and the street lighting that will come in as soon as those additional turn lanes are in. So once that project is done, that will alleviate the lion's share of the traffic problems there at that intersection, not just for now, but as we see the continued development that is certainly going to be happening on Innerarity Point. This project actually is a misstatement of what the PKMP said. The PKMP said that the people should be involved in any of your any development projects. And following that guideline, I held a series of town halls on this. And actually had the citizens, that was when Christine Fanchi was kind of driving that boat, and each citizen was given a sticker to come up and put, and we talked about traffic circle, traffic light, or no build. Leave it as it is. By far and away, the traffic circle model was the most popular among all citizens that participated, and the emails, of course, and phone calls all matched that same pattern. A lot of talk about the traffic circles not being appropriate for Escambia County. I think what we've seen happen here
down
17th Street makes it very clear that
they can figure it.
that we're smart enough to figure that stuff out, and that's a great job that's been done there. In other important areas, note here is that as you all are very familiar with the Perdido Key Habitat Conservation Plan, this is one of the critical choke points of the east-west navigation of the beach mouse. And it's a difficult critical choke point because it's also a choke point of wetlands. And so, beach mouse habitat and wetlands are different. And our team, Tim Day, if I misspeak at all, please by all means join us at the podium. But that the traffic, using the traffic circle, enables us to solve the problem there at Johnson Beach with the least amount of impact on the environment, both at the wetlands and the beach mouse. Am I on track with that? You say it so much smarter than I do, so I'm just parroting your words. At that last meeting, I also promised my discretionary funds from District 2 for that, despite as far as I'm concerned, nothing about the recent redistricting changes that. My word is that if we're going to be building the traffic circle there, that I would fund it with my discretionary LOST. So I would move the item in the affirmative using my discretionary LOST for that project as promised.
Well, Doug, I'll second that. Obviously, it's now part of District 1, and I do appreciate the expenditure of funds from your discretionary. Do appreciate that, and I will say for my part, I've spoken to Joy Jones about this, and it sounds from speaking with her that there was over 70 people that were at the advertised meeting, and out of the 70 people, more than 60%, I want to say 64% of them chose the option of the roundabout. Very, very small number wanted no build, and a very small number wanted the traffic signal. So, I'll second the motion. I'm coming into this area, new as the new commissioner, but I certainly don't want to be the first thing that I do blow up a project it's so hard to get these projects to this stage. And I do think, having gone out there and now driven it a couple of times since I've taken that area over, I do think there's something that's going to be needed there, and I can just see that being a good addition to the community. So I appreciate the funding, Commissioner Underhill, and we'll take it from there. Any other discussion? Commissioner Bender.
No, I would just add on that I've become more knowledgeable about roundabouts than I probably thought I ever would. But I do think that in this case, what you are trying to solve in the safety, the speed, the severity of crashes, the traffic control, that the roundabout does meet all those. So provided it's designed correctly, plus you only have a 2-lane road coming into it, so it's only going to be 1 lane, much like what we have at 17th. But however, with those right turns and stuff, sometimes it looks like that those cars coming off the bridge are about to ram you in the roundabout, and you see people lock it up right there. And also that there's only 3 spurs. And also very little traffic coming off from Johnson Beach. So it keeps the flow going, and one side won't be locked out. So just given that, I do think it could be somewhere where it can work.
All right, gentlemen, we have a motion and a second. Please vote. All right, the item passes unanimously. Okay, the next item we were holding was item 34. And we have speakers. We have one speaker, Mr. Erwin McCassell. Thanks for your patience.
I just wanted to request to have this agenda item moved to the 18th. I believe is the next meeting.
Okay. What was the staff recommendation on this?
This is a property he won in a bidding auction. Several extensions have been given throughout this closing process, and he was closed by December the 10th was the latest, and he contacted and said he wasn't ready. We requested the next communication to be from a real closing agent to work through our attorney's office, and that didn't happen either, so we're to the point of
I actually,
calling back the deposit.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Yeah, you have time. Go ahead.
okay, I actually did have paperwork from the closing agent, and they did reach out to the office, but they never spoke to anyone from that office.
May I just ask you, because we're going to be asked to go ahead and move forward on something different than what you want, but was there some reason why you needed all these delays and were not able to close the sale?
The particular property that's in question is in a place where there's a HOA in place where you have to have a certain thing in place funding-wise to build. That's a really hard ask, so we had to find the funding and the financing. We were in contact with the city, or excuse me, the county the whole way, kept giving them updates and letting them know that was what was going on, and was looking to finish this project out with them.
Okay. If you have something for us to look at.
Oh, it's just the closing document that they
Yeah,
requested.
Richie, would you mind just handing that to us? And then you've got about another minute and 20 if there's anything else you'd like to say.
No, just to allow me to finish out the project with the county.
There's just one copy of this here?
There should be two.
Should be two.
It's 5 pages each.
All right. I'll just pass this down. There you go. All right. Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you, sir. Chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, if I may ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely. You want to ask him a question?
No. Wes, or to anybody, any of your, no, I don't have a question for for Mr. McCassell. Wes, to you or any member of the staff that would like to answer it, the request that's been made before us tonight is that this item would be put off to the next meeting based on your knowledge of the item. Do you have any reasonable expectation that there will be, that Mr. McCassell will be able to close in that time?
Commissioner, I can say this process started July the 19th of 2021. We've gone through several. Every step of the way has had an extension. We've gone through several extensions, and here we are in January with still no success.
Yeah.
So do I have a reasonable expectation, not based on the historical facts of this case?
Fair answer. And so to Mr. McCassell, I will tell you, I won't be supporting an additional extension. When we do these things at bid, it's actually the bidder's responsibility to understand all the ramifications of being able to execute at bidding time. So, while I certainly hate to see you lose your deposit, that deposit is a promise between you and the county, and it's a promise that has not been met. So I don't have any further questions.
So he's asking for his deposit back, or is he asking for an extension to be able to purchase
I
it?
just want to close.
No, you can come and talk.
I just would like to close.
What's prevented you from closing in the past?
The requested date was the 10th of December. There was no way for us to get our closing agent to get that done in that time frame. We have since then worked with that agent. They have everything in place. We're just needing that additional time to basically cut them a check.
Is the money in escrow somewhere?
If you see those documents, everything is basically, the closing documents, everything's in place. We're just waiting to sign.
Well, let me just ask you a question now. So you have the funds. You're not waiting for a loan approval. You're not waiting for a loan funding.
That's essentially what that is.
No, but I'm saying, but your loan's been approved?
Yes.
It has been approved. How much is, what's the total amount on those documents?
3 and some, well, actually, the loan that's coming to us is 274, I believe. It's
Okay.
on there. I can't-
274,000?
Yeah.
I don't even have the document. So you could close tomorrow?
I wouldn't be able to close tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. I actually have to go to work and all, but I can set up a date with those guys. Come
But
in.
can you put, if you have the money, can you put the money in escrow tomorrow? Because I'm trying to help you. I want to help you.
Yes,
It's not my
sir.
district, but
I
I'm
will
not-
do whatever
I'm trying
you
to help
guys
you out.
need to take care of.
I mean, because what my administrator said, it's in July, and you said, I don't know why there was a closing December 10th. If it was executed in July, is probably what's clouding this conversation.
Well, we were in direct contact with the lawyers that you guys use to do closing, and they said basically.
Who do we use? What lawyers do we use for closing? I thought we do closing in-house.
Yeah. You're a lawyer.
Steve West handles
Yes.
our real estate closing.
Oh, okay. So you're asking for an extension to when?
The 18th. Your next meeting.
So we still be, so has there been any interest, or, I mean, is there anything accumulating for us since July, West?
Just lots of staff time, lots of staff effort, and I guess I could point out this is not the first situation that this has happened. It's not the first delay closing or loss of deposit. This has happened with this gentleman.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if I, say to the 18th, but I mean, if you could close in 1 to 3 days, you probably would find my support.
If that's what you require, we'll get that done for you.
You want to make a motion, Lumen?
Go ahead.
I was going to ask a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Robert. Go ahead.
Yeah. And this is just for staff. I guess if technically people are only allowed 3 days to pay the deposit and purchase form, why are we accepting them 19 days after after? I mean, it seems like part of that's on, well, I understand that's not where we are now, but if someone comes 19 days after the auction, when they had 3 days, and we accept it.
I understand exactly what you're saying, Commissioner.
Okay.
And Rob, that's where I'm saying, listen, I bought tax certificates for a long time, tax deeds. I buy foreclosures, at the clerk's office, I used to. And, if I didn't get my money in by 2 o'clock, it wasn't something that came before the board. It was just done. It was lost. And for me, I mean, for this to be on the agenda, it opens up to make me have to make a decision. I mean, if the rule is the rule, if you don't have the money there by 2 p.m., that's what I've always understood. I don't know, Madam Clerk, if I'm correct. If the money's not there by 2 o'clock, I forfeit my deposit. And so for it to continue to have the conversation has led him to come to this board, which makes me make a decision. I mean, to me, candidly, money should have been lost. If it didn't come up there at 2 o'clock p.m., that's what's printed, and it shouldn't have come before this board. But now it's before this board. I mean, I'm not willing to extend it in perpetuity, but I would give him a couple days to bring the money because he bidded it in goodwill, in good faith, and I don't know what he was led to believe, or, I'm not going to be the judge. But it's here now. It should have been done at 2 o'clock. I'm willing to give him a couple days, and that's just me.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, can I just interject something real quick? And I'm looking at what you've provided us here, and it talks about the property appraised at Mallory Street. But the property you're trying to buy is this a loan against your current property? Is that what's going on?
We're taking a cash out refinance to purchase and build.
So this address here is your home address?
Correct.
And you're taking this loan as for that, and you're going to use the proceeds of this?
To purchase and build.
And the reason I'm willing to give him a couple days, Jeff, is he's taking a heck of a risk, taking money out of his own personal property, out of his home. So obviously he's serious. I mean, usually, I've never done one when I didn't have the cash. I mean, I wouldn't take equity out of my home to do it.
Do you have any other properties that you're planning on using this money for?
No.
You don't have other deals lined up? No? Okay. All right, so Lumen, what are you proposing?
I mean, I'm willing to give him 3 days, Jeff.
3 days. What do you think, Wes? that all right? That going to work?
It's totally at the discretion of the board, Chairman.
No, that's
Yeah, we'll
great.
just set a date certain. I mean, unless Wes, you're telling, is this property something, it's not my district, is this property?
No, it's in my district now.
Do you need it? I mean, if you need it for something,
No, I mean, let's sell it. We're trying to sell these properties.
we'll get it on the tax roll. I mean,
Get on the tax roll.
I mean,
All right.
I'll give them a date certain of January 11
January 11th.
to get it in.
So is the motion that it would go into default on the 12th if he does not close by the 11th?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, you got a motion and a second? Please vote. Now you're going to close the deal, though.
Yeah.
All right.
It's on you, man. I mean, we support big developers every day of the week, so if someone's gonna take equity out of their house and improve property,
You
I'm
want
all
this back?
for it.
Richie, could you, oh, she needs it. Never mind. Can you pass that down? Sorry.
No one ever gave me any consideration like that.
No consideration.
All right, when I was behind, but.
You're keeping that?
All right, very good. So we're moving on now to item number 38. We have some speakers. We have one speaker, Chris Kerb. Is he still here? Yep, there he is.
I'll be real brief. I'm in support of this project. I think it's a real good project. The funding source, American Recovery Plan. I think I spoke on this, I don't remember what board meeting it was, but we were putting $22 million for broadband to the north out of this funding source. And the infrastructure bill that Congress passed has broadband in it. So just make a suggestion that maybe you could do design and then for that broadband project, and then take the other $20 million and put it toward drainage or something. That's about it.
Thank you, Chris. Chair would entertain a motion on 38.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, please vote. All right, item 38 passes unanimously. Car 3.
Mr. Chairman, there are 4 items of discussion on car 3. We're going to drop, I asked that we drop car 3-3.
Okay.
And then car 3-1 is the recommendation concerning reappointment or appointment of committee members to the Escambia County Affordable Housing Advisory Committee.
All right, we're voting for 7. This will be a fun one for you.
Hey, Jeff, I was going to say, we could probably take items 2 and 4 while they do the tallying.
That's right. This is going to be fun.
Do we have any other people here that's on the list? All right. I think Claire was here, Claire is here. Claire, do we have any recommendations? Because I know this committee we sit on, has anybody reached out to us, Claire? Well, you got a mask and no mic, I can't hear.
Mask and no mic.
These are the same order as the agenda item.
I'm sorry. The only young lady that reached out to us was the number H, Miss Maya Moss.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
you want to take other items while we're, okay. Delaney, how many, 15, 20 minutes? Just kidding. All right, yes, let's go ahead and take item 2. So item 2 is going to be my chairman's appointments, and the only thing I would ask is that that you add me also to the PEDC, so that there's 2 names there. I've got Stephen Barry there, who serves with me, and then when you make the motion for the whoever makes the motion to approve this, if you would just add me to the PEDC, because I'd like to continue to serve. Other than that, it is as it stands. Thank you.
All right. Unless there's any other discussion, I'll make the motion with the change that Commissioner Pregosh is put on the PEDC for his a 2-year term.
Appreciate that. Okay, we have a motion. That's well, I put myself on the TDC and the estuary program, and then that's it. I didn't make any other changes. I mean, just what's there.
And I think we don't have the chair on the chamber anymore. You haven't been on that anymore.
No.
I mean, yeah.
No. And then, did we add, I think we, hang on.
Oh, we don't have the Children's Council on there.
No, it's on there.
Is
I
it?
left Commissioner May on that, absolutely. It's one of the first ones on the list.
Oh, Children's Service Council. Perfect. Good.
And then Shirley Cronley, did we add her, Wes, to the?
It's an add-on on
That's-
the
okay.
county attorney's report.
Gotcha, okay, cool. So that's not on this one. All right, so we do have a motion in a second. Everyone good to go? All right. Is it going to be all right to,
Let's go ahead and vote on 2, and then I'll go back and call out the tally for 1. Is that okay?
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you. Please vote. This is for 2. We're going to come back and do 1. All right, the appointments pass unanimously. Item 3 was dropped, correct, Wes?
That's correct.
So you want to go ahead and
Yeah,
take
Commissioner,
item 4?
3-4 is asking the board to ratify the hiring of Mr. Stephen Hall as Escambia County's Finance Director.
Fantastic. Chair would entertain a motion on that, on bringing Stefan back.
So moved.
I'll second it. Any other discussion?
Finance Department Director.
Finance Department Director.
Finally, we got somebody back from the city instead of city getting
That's
from
right.
us, huh?
It's a two-way street. All right, let's go ahead and take a vote.
So just out of curiosity, why are we voting on this? I mean, wouldn't this be the?
Let me call the vote. It's a 4-1 with Commissioner Underhill voting against to bring Stephan Hall back. So just for my part, every time I've ever worked with Stephan Hall, he's been a consummate professional. I'm excited to get him back in the group. Just a great addition. So congratulations, Wes, in bringing him back from the city. I'm sorry, Commissioner May, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I'm good. I mean, are we voting for directors now? I mean, are
I
we
believe
just?
there's a policy that the board must ratify the administrator's hiring of directors.
It's a state statute. You are obligated to bless the selections at the highest organizational level, which we have usually interpreted as department head or above. You do not get to select them, but you essentially do have a veto power if you do not like who your administrator has hired in those positions. Your administrators have done this in various ways. We used to have one who just put an org chart on the budget every year. They just do it differently, but you're obligated by state statute to do that.
Okay. Everybody you hiring live in Escambia County, right, Wes?
As far as I know.
All right, that's good. I mean, I love it when people make money here and live in Santa Rosa. Yeah, it's great. Or
All right, Delana, do we
Okaloosa, or
have a-
Alabama.
Okay, I think we have a total.
So, Mr. Chairman, would you like
No
me
offense, Debbie.
Would you like me to start with the ones that have 5 votes? Because we do have a
Yes,
couple that
let's-
have 5 yes votes.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, so we have 5 votes for Maya Moss and John Shelton.
Maya Moss, 5 votes. And then who's the other one?
John Shelton, we have 5 votes.
Okay, and do we have 4 votes for some?
We have 3 votes for, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 additional people. We have 3 votes for, so.
So are we going to revote of those 7 for 5 more? Is
Okay,
that-
so I'll call those out,
Yeah.
and then you can pick from those.
I would
Does
think
that
we
sound
need-
good?
I would think
From
we
the
would need a
7.
new ballot.
Yeah, we'll probably.
Right, we would need a new ballot.
New
Okay.
ballot.
Yeah, so we
the-
need a new ballot with 7 names on it. We
Yep.
choose 5 of
Okay.
5 of those. Yep.
I'll wait till you have your ballots, and then I'll
Okay,
call them out.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now? They don't have them.
We're going to
They
circle
don't have
7
them.
and we pick 5.
I guess so, yeah. I think so. Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's-
Okay,
that's right.
so
We're
who
gonna
who were the
circle
2 that
7
had
names and we're
the,
gonna pick 5.
the 5 or?
So Maya Moss and John Shelton both have 5 votes.
So they're in there. They're in there. Right. So you're going to give us 7 more names that each.
I'm going to
have
give you 7 more names that had 3 votes.
And so we'll circle those and then we pick
And then
5 of
pick
those.
5 from those, if that would work. Okay, so we have George Brown has
Okay.
3 votes.
All right.
Laura Gilmore has 3 votes.
Okay.
Brenton Goodman has 3 votes.
All right.
Janice Harizi has 3 votes.
All right.
Patricia Makovich has 3 votes.
Okay.
Deborah Mays has 3 votes. And John Rawls has 3 votes.
So we pick, gentlemen, we pick 5 of those. All right. We can do this.
How many we picking, 5?
5. All right. All right, you want to start the county attorney's report? How long will this? We'll just keep coming back to you, Delaney. You just concentrate while we're asking you to tally the votes, though.
You want me to go forward?
Well, can we do it? I think we could do it. It's going to
Yeah,
take them a
so
minute.
there are, with the 2 add-ons, there are 8 action items and 2 information items. My recommendation to you would be to hold item 1-8 and
Okay.
vote on the remainder.
Okay.
But
1-8, vote on the remainder. Okay.
I'll take that advice. I move the county attorney's action report, holding item 8.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second for everything holding number 8.
And while we're voting, just recognize Darren Schaefer from Visit Pensacola, who has the request in here for the letter of support.
Yep.
So appreciate Darren putting that together and being able to hold off until we could approve this tonight.
And Mr. Schaefer, I apologize that I couldn't move forward. These are the sorts of things that, I'm happy to sign it, but I always feel like I want to bring that to the board and just to make sure that they're supporting what I'm doing. So just appreciate your patience on that. Okay.
Also, I think Ms. Cromie might still be here. Just to be sure, yours was among that group that
Lumen?
was just voted
Gotta
on.
vote. I'm sorry, say that again?
What'd you just say, Allison?
No, I'm just making sure she knows that we've already voted affirmatively for her item.
Yep.
Oh, no, she talked to me earlier about getting longer billable hours. That's why.
Okay. The remaining action item 1-8,
Oh, hang on. The first 7 passed unanimously. So, okay. Remaining action item, sorry.
item 1-8, this is coming out of your shade meeting from this morning.
Yep.
It was distributed by email to each of you right before we came down here. There are hard copies at each of your stations. This is a settlement agreement and stipulation of facts. As you know, Mr. Hammonds is your counsel of record on this. You met with him this morning.
Right.
This is a proposal for you if you wish to proceed this evening. I can,
How about we go to the information items? We'll come back to that. How does that sound?
Yeah, that's probably the last one.
Let's do that last.
there are 2 information items for your acceptance. One is just informing you of us receiving some surplus funds out of a mortgage foreclosure on one of your liens, which is always good news. There's rarely a lot of money left in those when you go through those, so that's good news. And then, Mr. Chairman, this is kind of in response to some of the questions that you've had. This is an update on some of the training cost small claims cases that we've been pursuing. As you can see, we're accumulating quite a list. We have at least 3 more that have been filed since this chart was prepared, and you voted on 2 more this evening. So This list is growing by the day. As you can see, quite a few of them we are getting some money back on. And anyway, that's just for your acceptance of the status on those cases.
Okay, thank you. Well, Delana, are you ready to go back to the other?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, so we do have two more candidates with 5 votes, and then we have 1 with 4 and 3 with 3, so we're still over. But we have 2 with 5, if you want me to read those out. I'm not sure how you.
And the one with 4, please.
And the one with 4, okay. We have Brenton Goodman has 5 votes.
Okay.
Patricia Makovich has 4 votes, and Deborah Mays has 5 votes.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I move Brenton Goodman, Patricia Makovich, and Deborah Mays be added.
Well, we have to.
We got to get more, though. We got to have 7.
One more, I think.
That's the first part, that's the motion, and then I'll say the second
But
part.
we didn't do the first 2, did we?
No,
I thought we
just put
did.
'em- No.
Do you
we
want to
just put
add
'em-
those to this motion as well?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought we did the first 2 already.
We hadn't actually voted on
Oh,
those
okay.
first 2.
All right, well then, how about we just set aside those 3, so then we
Okay.
need,
We've got 5 in the hopper right
yeah,
now.
so we need 2 from, there were 3 with 3?
Yes,
Delana,
sir,
is that
that's correct.
All right, can we get another ballot with the
Yep.
3 that have 3, and then we'll choose 2 of those?
Boy, what a process, huh? Okay, so you're going to give us.
So I'll read those once you have the ballots?
Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
We're
This is about as hard as going into one of these housing
I feel like I'm
meetings.
back in school. All right, and then we're picking 2. 2 from the 3?
We need 2 more, yes,
2
sir,
from
you're
the
right.
3. All right.
Yeah, no, they are horrible. Who are the 3 we're voting from?
She's waiting until we all get our forms.
Well, we
All
don't
right,
have them.
we're ready.
Okay, so our 3 with 3 are going to be George Brown, Laura Gilmore, and Janice Harizi.
All right.
We got 2 of the 3?
2. Yep.
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
have 3 votes for George Brown, 5 votes for Laura Gilmore, and 2 votes for Janice Harizi.
All right, Chair would entertain a motion.
So.
And if you'd like me to call them all back out, I certainly can, because I have a list.
I've got them written down.
The
So-
ones that have,
Yeah, that
you've
was
eliminated so far.
5 for Gilmore and 3 for Harizi, is that what you said?
It was 3 for George Brown, 5 for Laura Gilmore, and 2 for Janice Harizi.
Okay. All right, Mr. Chairman, I move to add Goodman, Makovic, Mays, Moss, Shelton, Gilmore, and Brown. I believe those are, is that correct, Delana?
Second.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Awesome. Okay, we got a motion and a second. Please vote. All right, the reappointment of these
Allison.
individuals passes unanimously. Yep.
Alvin, this committee that we just did, this affordable housing, it was created by what statute?
I'm sorry, it is in like 440s, maybe? It's in state statute, I'm
It's
sorry.
a state statute.
It is a state statute.
Claire's not in her head.
Did-
Yeah.
Yeah, and they are meeting next week.
So
420.
does it affect any funding, does the committee affect any funding by SHIP funding or anything? We have to have one. Oh, we have to have it because we have SHIP.
And maybe tied to other, do you know, is it just SHIP?
Is it, what about home funds and HUD funding? What is all that tied to?
This is just for SHIP, so it is a required, and it is by statute, required to have a a full board, at least 7, but 11 can be on the board, but you have to have at least
But
7.
by statute, their recommendation is for just SHIP projects or SHIP funding?
The SHIP project, and they also provide assistance regarding the local housing plan, action plans. And
That's written by
And that comes
us.
before the board, yes, sir. They just provide recommendations.
Yeah, took it under advisement. Yeah, they make a lot of recommendations.
And I
Right.
think they're planning to have a kickoff meeting next week with the new
Next-
members.
Next Tuesday,
Yeah.
Great, I'm excited.
yes, sir.
Thanks.
All right, Allison, we're down to your add-on item. Do you want to,
Item 1-8, this is stemming from your meeting this morning with Mr. Hammond, your counsel of record, in your shade meeting. There was a previous shade meeting in October where a similar conversation took place. There is a proposed settlement agreement and stipulation of facts in front of you for whatever. You can vote to accept this. You can schedule it for another board meeting. You can ask me to schedule another shade meeting. I leave it to the board's discretion.
thank you. Commissioner Underhill, then Commissioner Berry.
Thank you. Madam Attorney, is there any reason I cannot vote on this item?
My advice to you would be, I would advise you not to vote on it because this agreement does specifically address the issue of, it has a liquidated damages provision that basically penalizes the board if it pays your personal attorney's fees. So that does inure to your private gain or loss. My advice to you would be not to vote, and I do have a voting conflict form for you if you wish to follow that advice.
Yeah, certainly, normally we would have had this discussion. This item had been dropped from the agenda because it wasn't ready for prime time. Mr. Hammond had major issues with it, as you did this morning. Those issues are as yet unresolved. But yeah, if you'll go ahead and pass
Yes,
that
sir.
document down, I'll go ahead and sign it. But I certainly will be, while I will be abstaining from the vote, we strongly recommending that everybody remember that it was not ready for prime time this morning, and there's no difference to it tonight.
Commissioner Berry, you're recognized.
I mean, depending if there's more board discussion, I'm ready to move the item, Mr. Chairman, but
Okay. You ready to move the item?
depending if there's more board
And so
discussion.
there's no more money out of pocket for us, correct, Allison?
Yes, sir, there is.
Commissioner Berry, when you're ready to make that motion, I will certainly second it if there's not another second. We've been trying to get out of this lawsuit, which we never should have been in, for a year and a half. And it's gone back and forth and back and forth. The cans got kicked. And I think I did push. I pushed really hard to get this on the agenda because I want it in our rear view mirror. The board should never have been involved in this. This is not our fault. This is nothing this board did. One individual on the board brought this, not us. So it's not perfect, but it's certainly something that I'm willing to support. And
And Jeff, I know you had the lead, and there were two issues, I mean, so we've kind of worked those out.
well, you know, I think, well, I'm not going to, I wouldn't presume to speak for our attorney, but our attorney and I had a conversation in my office, and, you know, and I appreciated her advice. But that's exactly what lawyers do. They give you advice. But we're the deciders. This has been a year and a half of our lives. Now we have a way out of it. Commissioner Underhill will still be in the lawsuit, but this board, the four of us, will be out of it. So I'm ready to rock whenever you are, Commissioner Berry.
Madam Attorney, is this the appropriate time for me to read the disclosure?
Okay, I have another question. Allison, so, I mean, when we say there's still a cost, the cost is not anything that the four of us are incurring, right?
The board, the case does, what's proposed before you does have the BCC as a party dismissed from both the federal and the state case, but it does not dismiss Mr. Underhill in his official capacity, which is legally the equivalent of the Board of County Commissioners. They are the same legally, and Mr. Underhill in his official capacity is currently being represented by your counsel of record, Mr. Hammonds. This would not get that particular party out of the lawsuit at this time. That is something that's up to the board if that's, it does get the BCC out. It gets the BCC out of both cases. It does address that issue. That is true.
Madam Attorney, is this the appropriate time for the disclosure?
Yes, sir, any time prior to the vote is appropriate.
If I may, Mr. Chairman? Disclosure of local officers' interests. I, Douglas B. Underhill, hereby disclose that on January 6, 2022, a measure came before my agency which inured to my special private gain or loss. The measure before my agency and the nature of my conflicting interest in the measure is as follows. County Attorney's Report, item 1-8, recommendation concerning a settlement authorization in the case of David Bear versus Escambia County Board of County Commissioners and Douglas Underhill, case number 319 CV 04424 MCR/HTC. This recommendation presents a conflict of interest pursuant to section 1123.143 Florida statute, or an appearance of a conflict of interest pursuant to section 286.012 Florida statute, because it could affect payment of attorney's fees on my behalf. And I can tell you, gentlemen, no matter what happens, I will continue to speak truth to power in this county.
Thank you, Commissioner Underhill. Yep. Commissioner Bender, did you want to weigh in?
See what Luma was thinking.
I don't know.
You know, I mean, this is a little bit different than what, when I was chairman and had the meeting with Mr. Bear and his attorney, and it does seem to go a little bit against what we had talked about there. But again, I want to move the county out of this. But it is a, yeah. You know, of course, there would be some language personally I'd like to see changed, but you know, it gets it over.
You know, it was my goal, Commissioner Bender, I mean, this is, as Jeff said, so much energy has been expended on something that I believe, you know, obviously whatever is important to you is important to you, but we just so many other issues, and I want to get this behind us, and I want to cut the cost of something that I believe is frivolous. And so, you know, if there's, you know, I guess pain in getting out of it, it's pain in getting out of it, but, you know, I want it to end. So, I mean, I'll second it.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the agreement.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? And Allison, before we take the vote, I do appreciate your diligent effort. I know we pushed the pace heavily since yesterday afternoon, but I think this is a very important thing for us to get behind us, so appreciate your diligence. Please vote. Settlement offer that gets us out of this lawsuit passes 4-1, actually 4-0 with Commissioner Underhill abstaining. All right, I believe that's everything from the regular agenda. Do we have any add-ons? Anything to add to the agenda? Any announcements? Anything for the good of the whole? Anything else from anyone? We're adjourned.